All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Thomas Alarcon.
May it please the court, I move that Thomas Alarcon be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Thomas Alarcon be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Cassandra Louise Barbaras Leon.
May it please the court, I move that Cassandra Louise Barbaras Leon be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Cassandra Louise Barbaras Leon be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nicole Marie Barclay.
May it please the court, I move that Nicole Marie Barclay be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Nicole Marie Barclay be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yu Shen Chow.
May it please the court, I move that Yu Shen Chen be admitted as the lawyer of this honourable court.
That Yu Shen Chow be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Jane Coleman.
May it please the court, I move that Sarah Jane Coleman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Sarah Jane Coleman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elizabeth Maria Conradi.
May it please the court, I move that Elizabeth Maria Conradi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Elizabeth Maria Conradi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Michaela Jade Frame.
May it please the court, I move that Michaela Jade Frame be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Michaela Jade Frame be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Isaac Milo Goldacre.
May it please the court, I move that Isaac Milo Goldacre be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Isaac Milo Goldacre be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sophie Louise Hopkins.
May it please the court, I move that Sophie Louise Hopkins be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Sophie Louise Hopkins be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexander Joseph Dixon Hughes.
May it please the court, I move that Alexander Joseph Dixon Hughes be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Alexander Joseph Dixon Hughes be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emilda Israel.
May it please the court, I move that Emilda Israel be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Emilda Israel be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ziggy Michael Liskovich.
May it please the court, I move that Ziggy Michael Liskovic be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Ziggy Michael Liskovich be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Raymond Bing Shong Lo.
May it please the court, I move that Raymond Bing Shong Lo be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Raymond Bing Shong Lo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Joshua Mender Mackenzie.
May it please the court, I move that Joshua Mender Mackenzie be admitted as the lawyer of this honourable court.
That Joshua Mender Mackenzie be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Haris Mamutovic.
May it please the court, I move that Haris Mahmutovic be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Haris Mamutovic be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nicholas John Monsell.
May it please the court, I move that Nicholas John Monsell be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Nicholas John Monsell be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
John Andrew Murtagh.
May it please the court, I move that John Andrew Murtagh be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That John Andrew Murtagh be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mary Ann Rossi Nolan.
May it please the court, I move that Mary Ann Rossi Nolan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Mary Ann Rossi Nolan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kin Pan.
That Kin Pan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sayed Mohammed Mahdi Shah.
May it please the court, I move that Syed Mohammed Mehdi Shah be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Syed Mohammed Mehdi Shah be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nathan Ferdinand Skinner.
Let Natan Ferdinand Skinner be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Samuel Robert Slattery.
May it please the court, I move that Samuel Robert Slattery be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Samuel Robert Slattery be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Georgia Louise Summerhays.
May it please the court, I move that Georgia Louise Summerhays be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Georgia Louise Summerhays be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
D. Sun.
May it please the court, I move that D. Sun be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That D. Sun be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Liz Tang.
That Liz Tang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Felicity Jane Thurgate.
May it please the court, I move that Felicity Jane Thurgate be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Felicity Jane Thurgate be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Karina Teofila Wright.
May it please the court, I move that my daughter Karina Teofila Wright be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Karina Teofila Wright be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be necessary for the purpose of swearing an oath or making a declaration that all those being admitted today stand up but remain in your current places. Could all admittees please stand?
Thomas Alacon. Cassandra Louise Barbaros Leon. Nicole Marie Barclay. Yushen Chow. Sarah Jane Coleman. Elizabeth Maria Conradi. Michaela Jade Frame. Isaac Milo Goldacre. Sophie Louise Hopkins. Alexander Joseph Dixon Hughes. Emilda Israel. Ziggy Michael Liskovich. Raymond Bing Shong Lo. Joshua Mender Mackenzie. Harris Mamutovic. Nicholas John Monsell. John Andrew Murta. Mary Ann Rossi Nolan. Hin Pan. Sayed Mohammed Mahdi Shah. Nathan Ferdinand Skinner. Samuel Robert Slattery. Georgia Louise Summerhays. D. Sun. Liz Tang. Felicity Jane Thurgate. Karina Teofila Wright. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? I do. Would you please be seated?
Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Presently on the bench today to my right is Justice Rain, who is a judge of the Equity Division, and to my left, Justice Wright, who is a member of the Common Law Division of the Court. Together we constitute the court that has, in exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations, and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You all worked extremely hard to get here, through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbook and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, as a lawyer it will never happen. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person, and have understood that the Constitution means quite a lot more than just the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admission oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. That probably for some of you, or more likely your family and friends, feels that's how long you've been studying. On that note, I'm also pleased to welcome those with you today or watching on the live stream. For many of you, the support of your family and friends would have been invaluable. No doubt they have also, from time to time, been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. That is why it is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibilities that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, the swearing of oaths, and even our somewhat unusual choice of fashion. I recall on one occasion, some years ago at about the corresponding time, a young woman of the audience asked if you were doing Santa photos after the ceremony. I was very sorry to disappoint. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You'll be unsurprised to hear that over the past 2 years, we've had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can undoubtedly attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication, and fairness to participants. And occasionally, a lawyer might even get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we faced, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural and remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions, or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far and that much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practicing certificate in this state and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and amongst barristers in speaking roles in the High Court of Australia. On the other hand, it is heartening to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we'll only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to entry are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported by a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who've been around for as long as me. And you only need to look around to your fellow admittees in the courtroom and then the pictures on the wall to see that this is so. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction that it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some say there are, of course, only a few lawyer jokes. The rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice and the other ethical duties you must uphold. Now that you're lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly, with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same question for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question, for what purpose, or in what context the asking may occur." That is foundational to the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your tasks as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the sole object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning, not mystified and confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I show off by sprinkling in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, tautologies, and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? I would suggest that the answer to these questions is almost invariably no. The best advocates make their points simply and succinctly. Now, you'll have become aware by now, from reading many pages of cases, that some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could sometimes use that reminder, but don't pick up on their bad habits. I also want to talk about failure. I'd not be surprised if there are quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points in your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. I myself have made many mistakes over the years, far too many to remember, although my colleagues often seem to enjoy reminding me of them. But even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasions been successfully appealed to the High Court. When that happens, I just grit my teeth and remind myself it's not a rumour that the High Court's infallible, but occasionally even dissenting judgments become the law. Finally, I want to emphasise to you that your mental health is extremely important. Now, this may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will be invaluable. I found that out throughout my career. Although you might find it difficult to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that. But throughout my 35 years in practice, I could always count on the other barristers in my chambers to share my disappointment, at the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. I hasten to add I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly those sitting with me today, can I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The Court will now adjourn.
All stand.